All right, fourth grade, today you're going to be making your tropical fish using Model Magic today. Now, Model Magic is a lot different than using clay. So those of us that are really used to using clay, there's going to be a few things that are a little bit different or are going to be changing as we work with Model Magic. We have a few different colors to choose from, and we have to be super careful that we only use a little bit of Model Magic at a time because we want to make sure there's enough for everyone. So you're going to get a piece of Model Magic about this big. This will be the size of your fish's body. Okay, I might even take a little bit off. So to start the fish's body, I need to roll it into a cylinder or into a sphere, and then gently kind of flatten it out. Okay, you could kind of work with shaping your fish's body a different way. I'm just going to use mine like this for right now. Another thing that you're going to add are some fish details using a wooden stick. But Model Magic is also really cool because I can cut it with scissors and make some really cool textures or details. Okay, now you can come back to the drive-thru and ask for little bits of different colors for details, things like their fins or maybe details around their head. I have a few different ones to choose from. Something that's really different about working with Model Magic and the colors is once it sticks, it doesn't want to come off. So if I'm going to add a detail, I have to make sure that the detail that I'm adding is exactly the way that I want it in the exact place that I want it, because to peel it up, it's kind of already attached like glue. So I'm just defining the space of the face around the fish. So I rolled out a coil, just like I would with clay, and I'm wrapping it around the edge and tearing it off, kind of smoothing that out so I have really good craftsmanship. Oops, it got a little wiggly here. Let me show you what it looks like when I try to peel it off. Okay, you can still see a little bit of that red where that is. Sometimes if it's really sticky, it will leave chunks of that Model Magic there. Okay, so when you make a mark or when you lay something on, make sure that you're confident that that's exactly what you want, because you might not get another try. Okay, I could add things like stripes with this. I could add an eye. I need an eye for sure. So to make the eye, I'm going to roll a sphere, and I'm going to flatten it on. Okay, and I thought that's where I want it to be, and this is a three-dimensional object. So I'm going to see this side as well as this side, so I need an eye for the other side as well. The next thing I'm going to think about is that top fin. Oh, and a mouth. Okay, the mouth is going to be below the eye, so I cut a little mark. Okay, making sure that's what I want. Okay, I can kind of smooth things out, make that top lip a little bit bigger, okay, and sculpt that Model Magic. For the top fin, I want it to be kind of like a semicircle, and then I can cut some little details in the top, so make a sphere, flatten it out. I can kind of pat it on my table and kind of pull and stretch so it's the shape that I need it to be. Model Magic is really fun for sculpting things because it's a little bit different than clay. It's going to hold that shape really well. Okay, you can kind of maybe test it out a little bit. How's that going to look? Way too big. Now, usually with clay, when we make an attachment, we have to score, slip, and press. With this Model Magic, I can just stick it on. Okay, and there, it's still a little bit too big. So I can use the scissors, I can pull some off. Alright, that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to stick it on there, give it a little press, make sure it's good and stuck, and it's on there for good. Okay, now the back tail, I thought of as kind of like a triangle. Okay, once again, you can think about these shapes any way that you would like, but keep in mind you need to sculpt it out and look at it and think before you attach it, because it's not going to come off very well. I'm going to use my table to pat to get some of these flat edges. I could also use my scissors to cut. Alright, looks pretty good. Hold it next to it. Is that what I want? If it is, then I'm going to squeeze to attach. If not, I need to stop and rework it. All right. You also have this wooden skewer here. You could use it to press in some different textures in your fish. Like for the fin, I think I could do that. You could use your scissors if you wanted to cut some little marks in there, just like I did with the mouth. I could use my skewer to poke to make like scales or a texture. Use that wooden skewer to think about how it's going to feel. The last thing that's really cool about using Model Magic is I can draw right on it with Sharpie while it's wet. So if I want like a pupil for the eye, I can add that in. If I want to add some different line details with some Sharpies, I can do that as well. However, keep in mind if I'm really rough with my fish as I'm sculpting or as I'm adding those details with my Sharpie, I'm going to wreck it, okay? And I might also wreck the Sharpie as well. So notice I'm just gently touching the Sharpie to the Model Magic. I'm not really being rough with it or digging it in there and trying to get Model Magic on that felt tip of the Sharpie, okay? Otherwise that will wreck it and it won't make a mark anymore. Just make sure you're being super respectful with the Sharpie supplies. Now these fish are 3D, and when they're displayed, they're going to be displayed 3D as well. So everyone's going to get a popsicle stick or a sucker stick, and that needs to go in the bottom of your fish. I'm just gently twisting it in. This could also be helpful as you're making your line designs, that you can hold it up off the table and not get one side flat. Alright, so when your fish is finished, you need to put your name tag around that bottom part of the stick so we know whose is whose, and then it's going to get stored in a piece of foam so it stays upright. This fish that I made before, I just laid flat, and you can see this side got a little bit messed up. So make sure when you turn it in today that you have the name tag at the bottom and it goes in the foam. Alright, can't wait to work with Model Magic with you. These are going to look cool.